What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Samelo TV back again with another video. And today we're going to be talking about a little bit about what we're seeing with Chelsea Football Club after that disastrous loss against Sunderland on the weekend. Are we a team that's finally just willing to accept that we're just a cup competition team, or are we necessarily building up to a time when we're genuinely in a title race? Currently, we sit in the ninth position in the Premier League, and it's deservedly so because we have made consistently terrible decisions defensively. We're conceding goals at an alarming rate, and we haven't shown consistently that we can keep clean sheets, at least in the Premier League. And this is concerning for many reasons because your defense is the foundation on which you build a winning side. We do not do a lot enough to defend well, hence why we have to outscore the opponent. Is it something that we can actually depend on as a team? We can't continue to just concede goals and assume that we're going to score enough to blow out teams. So what is the problem? Is this a Maresca problem? Is Maresca at fault because he hasn't been able to resolve our defensive woes? Or are we just not necessarily built to defend? If you cast your mind back to the end of last season, we were a very solid defensive team. And aside from the games where we were down to a man due to Jackson's stupidity, we were very solid defensively, and we were able to win games and make the top four simply because of how good defense were. Can we say that is simply down to having Colwell on defense? Perhaps. I think Colwell's effect on that team is becoming more pronounced on a daily basis now, on a weekly basis. We're seeing how he was able to marshal that defense through one of the most crucial moments in last season where a lot of Chelsea fans had given up leading up to the final day. But he was able to marshal that defense, and we were able to make top four on the last day. With poetically, he was one that scored the goal that confirmed top four for us. And now he's out for the rest of the year. And Maresca was making it very clear to the board towards the end of the window that he needed some reinforcement in the defense. Now we're depending on a former Fulham player, Fofana, who's chronically injured, Reece James, who has been healthy for the first time in a very long time, and he's still not playing at his best either. And he's much older at this point compared to a couple years ago. We're depending on Chalobah, who we were trying to get rid of at all costs. We're depending on a young 19-year-old or 18-year-old in Achapong to save us. He was our best player on the weekend, making tackles and making last-ditch tackles and preventing goals from happening. The moment he came off and we brought Uncle Tosin into the game, we became vulnerable. We became a team that could concede at any point, and we did. What does this say about the fact that our board did not listen to Maresca when he was asking for reinforcement? What does this say that we let Anselmino go to Dortmund? What does it say that we haven't improved in that position since we got rid of Thiago Silva? We don't have an adult on defense, and we play like kids. When the going gets tough, we never get tough. We just succumb to pressure. Sunderland absolutely came with a game plan that nullified everything we did. We resorted to crosses on multiple offensive actions, resulting to blind crosses into the box and no one to attack the ball. They had a solid unit. They had a solid team defensive unit in place, which meant that they weren't just going to be bullied either. So we absolutely did not prepare well for this game. We were not in a position, we did not set ourselves up for success. And it showed. We were humbled. Maresca was outcoached. And very rarely do I ever say that about Maresca. He was outcoached. But Xhaka was controlling that midfield. He looked like the best midfielder on the pitch, calmly dispatching us, making good decisions, calm under pressure. They did not panic that it was Chelsea Football Club. They were confident. They knew what they had to do and they did it. solidly. Now we sit ninth in the Premier League on the table, and it's looking very grim. The only silver lining we have is that we are going away to Woes in the EFL Cup on Wednesday, and we have Delap to return to this team. Delap is not the savior. I must say that he is not our savior, and we need to accept that. Joao Pedro has refused to score a goal or even take a shot in the last 5 games or so. We're looking like a team devoid of confidence, and we're looking like a team that needs to get it together in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple of games, or else we're going to have a worse season than we did last year. It's up to Maresca to trust a backline and stick with it. Either you're going to stick with Jared, with Hato and Anchapong, and not mess around with your defense, with your defensive unit for an extended period of time so they can grow some consistency and understanding within the back line. Did you not see Conte chopping and changing in our last Premier League winning season? He established that defense, stuck with it, and let the offensive player express himself. You cannot continue to chop and change from week to week and expect to have a consistency of performance. There needs to be an established starting lineup that you trust from week to week. Refusing to accept that as a solution and continuing to empty out your bench at every chance, trying to satisfy every member of the team. That will be the downfall for Maresca if he does not understand. For you to be a winning side, there needs to be a consistency in the performance and the players that you're fielding from a week to week basis. It is the least you can do as a manager. Establish who your team is gonna be and stick with it. If it works out, we rock out. If it doesn't, then after you've given it a bit of time, you can make some changes. I saw him empty out the bench. Felt like the Tosin substitution was unnecessary. We were already hanging on by a thread at that point. Achampong was making last-ditch tackles. Perhaps he was at fault to be even being put in that position, but he had the recovery pace to actually be back. Perhaps he took a knock because he had a knock because he had to launch into a really difficult tackle, preventing another sure goal from Sunderland. Sunderland had very little possession in that game. We had about 69% possession, and they just had less shots on target. They had less shots on goal, but they took advantage of the chances they had. That long throw was cooking us. So we need some character on defense, and we need to start actually taking our chances when we're on offense. That's the only solution to this problem, and we need to get it together ASAP. I'm very optimistic going into the rest of the season with Delap returning. Hopefully, we can have Cole Palmer back sooner than later, but Maresca has to trust the team that he puts out there. And the substitutions you make, the times that you make it, can be the difference between coming out with a respectable draw or even winning at the last moment to completely shit the bed at Stanford Bridge against a newly promoted side. It was very embarrassing to witness that. But I know that we're a team that still has a very high upside. The next couple of games are going to be so crucial. We play Wolves away, and then we go away to Tottenham next week. That's a tough game, a very tough game. I'm expecting to rest a lot of players against Wolves on Wednesday, and then we'll pull up to to Tottenham Stadium on Saturday. I want to see a way better performance, I want him to stick with the same defenders that started the game and give them a run of games to establish some understanding. It took a while for Colwell and Chalobah to establish some understanding. These guys are going to need the same amount of time. And we saw it pay dividend at the end of the last season. The same thing continued into the Club World Cup. So I know Maresca is experimenting right now, but I think the experimentation needs to stop. Stop with the experimentation. Lock in with the team, and let's go on a run of games. Like, subscribe, leave a comment in the chat, and I will be back with some new videos. Peace.